Alright, sugars, let's do this. Beyond Two Souls review, let's go.
I can't believe it, Marcus. We finally found her. No, no, no. No, baby. No, 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 no. What did they do to you? I'm so sorry.
Sorry, Maria.
Don't nobody give a about
I
Maria.
tried to find you.
Want to shoot something?
God, I did.
If this is you, then move along. If you buy games simply for multiplayer, then move along. Beyond is not for you, my friend. While there is nothing wrong with this aspect of the industry, this game is more for the people that enjoy the ride much more than punching, jumping, or shooting. This game would appeal more to moviegoers than gamers. This can be ascertained by the fact that there really isn't a difficulty setting in the game. It is merely differentiated by I play a lot of video games or I do not play a lot of video games. In a world where every developer seems to want to implement set pieces, scripted gameplay, and QTEs, Beyond says screw it and makes a game out of just that. Let us start by saying that the graphics and motion capture in this game are ridiculously good and push the PlayStation 3 to its limit. But we're not here just to talk about graphics. Beyond Two Souls, written by David Cage, is the latest IP from French developer Quantic Dream. This is the same company that brought us Indigo Prophecy and Heavy Rain. They go out of their way to call their games interactive dramas that place emphasis on storytelling, emotion, and innovation. When I played Heavy Rain 3 years ago, I absolutely fell in love with the decision-making, emotion-driven story. Aside from that incredibly awkward Jason sequence.
Jason. 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 Jason.
Hey, watch it.
Jason.
Yeah, that awkward little fiasco. Beyond Two Souls is a game that builds upon that formula and tries to expand the legacy it built. You take the role of Jodie Holmes, who is played by Hollywood bigwig Ellen Page. The original Green Goblin, William Dafoe, also makes an appearance as another main character, Professor Nathan Dawkins. You follow Jodie's life for a span of 15 years. You see her grow from a small toddler to a young woman. What separates Jodie from other girls is that she is constantly being followed by a demon, a ghost. The game actually calls the being following Jodie an entity that goes by the name of Aiden. Being linked to Aiden opens Jodie to a number of ludicrous situations, from being picked on by the cool kids as a teen, then burning their house down, to being chased by the FBI as a young adult, and fighting terrorists as well as supernatural threats. The role of Jodie, played by Miss Page, is outstanding. Her performance is stellar, and she does a phenomenal job conveying all the facets of Jodie's psychology. Our story begins with Jodie speaking to the audience and telling us that she does not remember any of the events that led her to that point. Jodie calls it a chaos of images with no order. This is fleshed out throughout the whole game as it is not told in chronological order. In the first mission, Jodie is being hunted like an animal by the FBI. In the next mission, she's actually a little girl who is learning how to control Aiden. It is your job as the player to put everything together into one cohesive story. First-time players, I highly recommend paying particularly close attention to the loading screens between missions. This is where the missions are actually displayed in order. This way of story delivery actually makes the package feels a little disjointed at times. The story arc is difficult to follow and makes me wonder if David Cage was actually off his ADHD medication when he was making the game. Chronology aside, there are certain missions in the game that work incredibly well thanks to this prospect and actually give you a sense of urgency when you are leading Jodie to her destination. The mission Homeless absolutely sings thanks to this. You actually care for Jodie and cannot wait to see how she will tackle the broken sham that is her life now thanks to the nurturing, caring bond that was implanted upon us beforehand. I understand what Cage was going for with the chronology choices. He was trying to humanize Jodie more as a child or teen, so you would care more for her as an adult on later missions. Sadly, this doesn't always work, and it made my eyes fumble when I was sitting at the loading screen trying to figure out what was going on. The gameplay is actually my biggest concern and gripe with the game. To start with, you can't die. Events change and Jodie will be mauled, maimed, and slaughtered if you mess up, but she will not die. The Welcome to the CIA mission acts as a tutorial to introduce a lackluster combat and stealth that is comprised in Beyond. Just like you interact with everything in the world, you engage in combat through the right thumbstick. Time slows down and you're expected to evade or hit the enemy by hitting a certain direction on the stick. Unfortunately, the direction you're supposed to hit isn't always clear, and you will find yourself fumbling more than you would like. The stealth sequences, it takes some getting used to as far as control goes. I can honestly say that Jodie controls about as well as the train controls do in the original Resident Evil. They work, but it takes a while to get used to them. You can try using a different control scheme if you're interested, and if you have access to a tablet or smartphone by using the Beyond Touch app. But if you're smart, you will stay the hell away from that app. It is a complete afterthought, and I can honestly say that swiping my devices is not more intuitive than moving the right thumbstick. It's stupid. On a side note, I will say that co-op is a nice addition if you're playing this game in front of an audience. One of the person controls Jodie and the other one controls Aiden. It's a nice touch if you want the experience to be a little more hands-on for onlookers. The first time I went through the game, I was actually a little disappointed with what seemed to me as few to no choices in the game. Compared to Heavy Rain, Beyond falls short in this category, as this game does not have infinitely forking story paths depending on your choices and performance in-game. You mess up a few times and Jodie will come out looking like a Mortal Kombat character, but the end result would be the same. This made me feel a lot of the time like I was more of a guide for Jodie as opposed to the person playing her. I felt like I was overlooking the events happening rather than experiencing them myself. It was almost as though I had a backseat role in everything that was happening. That being said, I actually went out of my way on my second playthrough to mess up as much as possible and to see if anything was different. Much to my surprise, a lot of it was. While the end result would still be the same for the most part, the circumstances of how Jodie arrived there changed entirely. In the Hunted mission, you can actually be captured 3 times, or if you play well, you will outrun the cops. If you play through the Condenser mission and mess up too much, Jodie will run away scared instead of finishing her mission. It's little choices like that that actually continue to surprise me regardless that I've already beaten it once, and at times even send shivers down my spine. The majority of the choices you do face in-game are mainly derived from playing as Aiden. You can choose to maim or choke people you don't like or leave them be. You can exact revenge on other abusive teenagers or walk away. You can even scare off Jodie's crush when he comes over for a date, or you can let him and Jodie consummate their love.
Okay.
This is a game that jumps around genres with gusto. You shoot, you ride horses, you sneak, you even play dress up, for God's sakes. I actually happen to both love and hate this about the game. Quantic Dream came here to tell a story and accommodated the gameplay around it. The bottom line is that after I was done and the credits were rolling, I just thought to myself, I'm glad to have played it. Quantic delivered a great story and experience, and I really enjoyed going through it. With that in mind, some of the issues that I had with the game kept it from being great. That and the fact that our $60 price of admission is a little steep for an interactive movie. If you know what you're getting into and still are interested in the game, make sure to get it now. If you're just curious about it, wait until admission drops or simply rent it. I hate to sound like a spokesperson for Quantic, but this really is not the type of game that you play, it's the type of game you experience.